Hi everyone, welcome back to AMS Automotive Evolution with me, Christopher Ludwig, joining us for this keynote fireside chat where we're going to be talking about the human factor in transforming automotive production. The transformation of automotive manufacturing is often spoken about in the context of the technology driving it. Electrification brings in new components and systems into plants and different types of tooling, whether it's high voltage batteries, different chemical processes, and of course, digitalisation offers a range of possibilities in automation, transparency, and data analytics. While to make production more sustainable, manufacturers need to explore different materials, energy sources, and suppliers. But what can often be overlooked, especially in the context of today's ongoing, continuous, seemingly supply chain crises and disruptions, is just how important the people are who are executing these changes. From shop floor workers to IT developers to engineers and plant directors, there is a requirement for changes in working practices, changes in development, as well as a range of new skills, competencies, and partnerships throughout the value chain, which we want to consider. We're going to explore how one major tier one supplier, ZF, is approaching this transformation from a human-centric point of view in terms of retraining, in terms of employee care, in terms of agile management, digitalization, sustainability, and diversity. It's a lot to cover, but it's a really exciting topic. Joining me to share in these details is an executive who's leading ZF's transformation to produce and supply electrified powertrains and be a full systems provider. He's overseen operations at ZF's growing electromobility division since 2019, which followed a 25-year career in leading advanced manufacturing operations across the major automotive manufacturers and suppliers. I'm so pleased to welcome Arno Güllering, Senior Vice President of Operations for Electrified Powertrain Technology at ZF. Arno, very, very nice to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, I'm always pleased to be with you, and thanks for the invitation again.
Great, fantastic. So, Arno, the Electrified Powertrain Technology Division already has 40 locations across Europe, North America, and Asia. To what extent are you transforming existing locations and workforces to serve EV powertrain versus establishing new operations and therefore hiring new employees?
ZF has a big history, a long history in system manufacturing. I mean, we're coming from the gearbox business, and we manufacture all necessary components for the gearboxes, and as such, a huge important factor for e-mobility systems is already there by our historic heritage. A big growth field for us is electronics. I mean, we're always looking into extend the vertical integration. Electrical systems, electrical drivetrains consists out of power unit, motor, and axle drives. And we offer all these components and the complete system. And obviously, coming more from the mechanical side of the system, electronics is our growth path. Here we are, in general, building new plants, new operations throughout the world, in the US and Europe, and also in China, which is the most important growth market right now. And obviously, we use this very experienced plants we already have from the gearbox business as system lead plants. Yeah, so these need to be transformed for this e-mobility business. And when it comes more to the pure e-mobility specific components, motors, and especially electronics, these plants are built brand new and ramped up.
So what would you say are some of the major factors in the transition to e-powertrain production, particularly that are impacting workers' skills and competencies?
Everybody knows ZF came a long way from mechanical systems, mechanical gearbox systems, and then electromechanical gearbox systems. What's getting more and more important is electronics. We are now manufacturing power units, inverters, and control boards and all those things. Huge area of growth for us, and on top of that, digitalization. which helps us in numerous ways. We connect every plant to the cloud. Meanwhile, these two things, electronics, digitalization, that's the way to go. These special processes for building electronic parts, electronic systems, subsystems, and also e-motors are brand new. And here we need to learn these processes. We're constantly looking with our own facilities in advanced process development, but also we form strategic partnerships with important suppliers to develop the manufacturing processes further. And obviously, those people who are working in the historic facilities need to learn these new processes. And here we have to find ways to really get these people on board, how to touch these people and take their interest. But that's a huge learning field for us. I mean, these electronic subsystems and electronic axle drivetrains, they are, as you probably heard, are under quite a price pressure, and we need to come to productivities right in the first place.
Yes, well, and indeed, as we all know, the automotive operations are under pressure around the world, whether that's the costs or supply chains and other risks that we see. If we look at that from a kind of human point of view, in terms of your employees, whether it's Russia, Ukraine, whether it's lockdowns in China, what would you say are the key priorities for your division in trying to mitigate some of those issues?
I mean, overall, we have seen numerous disruptions over the course of the last 2 years. I mean, first it started with COVID, and now then we see semiconductor shortage, which affected both the OEMs and also us. And now we are looking in the Ukrainian crisis. We're facing this, and in this surroundings, in this eco hemisphere, we need to ramp up plants abroad. As I already said, our most important growth market is China. Everybody knows that China is very strict on the COVID restrictions, and we have to send people from the lead plants from Germany and Europe to China to support these ramp ups. And this is our key challenge right now. It's very difficult. We have had people locked up in hotels for several weeks in China, and here we are very much challenged to take care of these people, to still recruit experts, to still advertise for the interest to support those operations in China. China, after all, is a very nice country. I've been there several times. But these very strict COVID regulations makes it very difficult. So to really stay connected to the people in these ramp-up operations, in these abroad locations, that's our key target right now.
Yes, I can very much understand the challenges there, both from the operations, but people, whether it's expats who are there or indeed the workers on the ground. When you look out a bit more long term, the pace of transformation and indeed this disruption is undoubtedly faster and more frequent than anything we've really seen before when we think about the changes in the automotive industry, let's say over the past 20 or 30 years. It seems like it's happening, more changes happening in a stretch of 2 or 3 years. What is your strategic approach to helping employees across the organization manage these rapid changes?
These older style organizations with, let's say, 7, 8, 9 layers between the shop floor and the top management, that's out of style. We really push very strongly for very little steps of organizations, very little layers of organization, and we aim for broader spans of control. I mean, where you had in the past, you had a span of control average probably of 7. Now we aim for 12, 15. And our overall target is to get closer from the management to the shop floor and to be more really connected to our people in the factories, to see if our training methods, our training activities are successful. I mean, we have numerous of these. We have lots of information platforms, town halls, online trainings, and up to expos where we take products and go to the plants which need to transform and to get in touch with those new products, and we try to really get closer to the place where it all happens.
So yeah, absolutely need to move, so to speak, decision making down to every level where possible, to empower those employees. One thing we certainly note in the automotive industry is a pivot to agile management and leadership approaches. Are these relevant methods as well for ZF in your division, and how do you see them being applied? If so, how do you see them being applied in production and operations?
Get closer to the employees. We have we call that skip level meetings. That's a very important tool to get closer to the people. I mean, we invite people to town halls and to exchange with the top management, people of the next level or even one level beyond. They can apply online to a session with me and other guys from the management and ask any kind of question, which be it about the transformation, be it about the product, be it about the future of the individual plants. You know that we have to shift our capacities to the place where it all happens. The growth in China is huge. In Europe, it's still coming. So that's the transformation brings also insecurity for a lot of workers and a lot of people in the plants, and we have to take care of that. No? We have to get people involved. We have to take this anxiety and fear away, and give them all a perspective and let's say a view of the future. Because after all, it's not bad. I mean, when new products come to the market, it's always an opportunity to restructure yourself and a possibility to grow. I mean, you see that the fleet overall in the next year will be completely overhauled, completely exchanged, most probably. And that's the opportunity to step into that and, after all, produce and sell cars again.
I think it's quite an important point that you make there, that the future is in many ways positive here, despite what is a barrage of seemingly scary news and disruption. When we look at the trajectory of change, it's happening faster than we thought in a positive way, and many companies are perhaps managing it much better than we would have thought just a few years ago. But clearly it's a disruptive process, and electrification brings new parts, modules, equipment, consideration into production. For ZF, what do you see as some of the most important areas where employees and operations need to add or enhance their skills to keep up, right? So maybe the skills in a diesel plant operation is not necessarily going to carry immediately over. So what are some of the key examples for you?
A lot of the skills you already have are still needed. I mean, an electric drivetrain has huge demands technologically for drivetrains and for gearing specifically. Where we are obviously, it's given by the name Zahnradfabrik, where we are sort of specialists, but still, I mean, these new electric drivetrains don't have the masking noise from the ICE, from the combustion engine. So even in the heritage products, there's additional knowledge for a quieter drivetrain necessary. Then on top of that, of course, all these new components, hairpin technology for the e-motors, laser welding here connected up to pick and place machines, SMD technology for electronics modules which are used in the power units. That's a room for growth and necessary skill you need to add. And ultimately, all these machines are electronically controlled. They are connected to clouds in our companies, in our factories. So here we need more specialists for cloud computing. We need data analysts because we need to make use out of the production data gained until exchange with, you probably heard of KTNX project. where the future will be to exchange also production data with the OEMs to really make use out of the data over lifetime of the complete product. And this is knowledge you need to change and also add. You need specialists for this, and that's a huge growth field, which I personally find very interesting.
These are of course key transformation points and skills needed, and data, software, which will be important. Can you talk about some of the approaches you're taking as ZF to address some of the reskilling? For example, across different employee groups, is there a different approach? I would imagine there's a different approach on the shop floor to the management, to direct or indirect kind of employees. And perhaps you can give us a few examples.
Yeah, we try every channel. First of all, it starts off with a learning program which we designed online. Yeah, so you can log on. It's called eAcademy. You can you can look into different models. It starts with basic of e-mobility, the energy sources, how's the electrical energy generated, how is it used in the drivetrain, what's the benefit out of it. I mean, these electric drivetrains overall are much more efficient than the combustion engine as far as energy put in and energy got out. So it overall is much more efficient, and a lot of people don't believe that yet. I guess that's a lot to learn in this phase. Then it gets more to the production processes, basic knowledge of the components of a drivetrain, what are the functions of the individual components, how do we manufacturing them, up to more generic contents. Yeah, that's all the online program we have. Then we have individual courses which we write out, and people can apply for them, and we give them also the time to do that. It's not that somebody has to do that in their spare time. We see that as a key component to really boost also productivity ultimately, because I mean it's a well-known fact that only motivated people are productive, and they're willing to produce a good product, a high quality product, which we need obviously. And so we try every channel to really get a catchy, I say always, a catchy advertising, yeah, to get people interested. It's not. That's what I think. You have to create the interest for the whole topic, yeah? And that's the basic idea behind it. Then we bring the products we have to the very plants, to the people, do like expo shows, where we give the workers also the possibility to have a hands-on experience, to touch and feel these products, even up to driving them. Yeah, we bring cars also, that you see the different way of driving in such a vehicle. So we do a lot. We really try to use every channel. I mean, on top of that, we intensified also our messages to our employees. We have very regular these town halls, which I mentioned already, from the top management, also from my level, to the manufacturing people, which have a general information part, let's say half an hour, and then they're open for questions also. And these questions can be posed directly or via online. That we really, I mean, the overall target is to create a culture of exchange of opinions, and give them a possibility to really ask about their needs. And obviously, I mean, you have intranet and those portals on top of it, where you can afterwards post a question online, and we really try to take care of that. We have communication areas. I have my own communication area, even in operations, where people taking care of those needs, and so we take it very seriously, and we have a whole variety of tools and channels where we transmit the information.
So a very interesting and necessary approach in terms of, as you mentioned, hitting every channel, meeting people where they are as they require this information. What are some of the challenges or barriers that you might face in cascading this information and this training, whether that's from the employees themselves or access? Are there other particular challenges you still recognize that need to be overcome?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, interest. I mean, you have to create the interest. You have to. In my personal thinking, it's really a big opportunity for the F to further grow, to get the foot into this super exciting and interesting market. Yeah, with a whole new set of products, new and better and cleaner products. They do not burn oil or such things. So it's really it's a very nice experience to drive them. They don't make noise and all those things. So it's a lot of positive things connected to this new products. And yeah, you have to transport that, and you have to take the people. You have to take away the pure fear, which probably every once in a while occurs, and in these older plants, especially, which is connected to this whole transformation. I mean, transformation brings a lot of positive things, and you have to somewhat put the magnifying glass on this, and that would be my main challenge, to get the interest of everybody involved and to see it in a positive way.
One other point to touch on, of course, in Germany, the Ausbildung, the apprenticeship program is very important, deep-rooted part of training, particularly in areas of production, and I'm sure in other locations as well. How or is the electrification transformation changing the approach to apprentices? Perhaps this is a particularly good opportunity to bring people in fresh, or even to retrain people in that kind of way. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, the pure mechanical apprenticeship is fading more and more away. We go a lot more into mechatronics, yeah, because and you see it in your very car at home. It's more and more electronic content. The same applies for our production machines. Yeah? So electronic skills, even already in apprenticeship, are super important. To speed that up even more, not to work until new people come out of this apprenticeship, we have put together a pilot program together with the Chamber of Commerce in Saarland, where our most important and biggest plant in Saarbrücken is located, to come up with a pilot project about reskilling of really full-time employees, where they can sign up and they are set free for this re-apprenticeship program. Yeah, so we came up with a pilot program there. Yeah, and ultimately, as I already said, the learning factory, where everybody in his time besides his job can do that individually. So these are the three channels we use. But the major change is there's hardly anything purely mechanical anymore, and this has to be embraced, so to speak.
Clearly, the digitalization is a key part of accelerating the rollout of electrification, and I wanted to just zero in on where you see some of the key digitalization opportunities or new approaches specifically for electrified powertrains.
I mean, digitalization for our production is absolute must, and this in many ways. It starts with the recent hiccups we had in the supply chain, and you can imagine a huge a huge production ecosystem like we have. We have around about 30,000 people in our 26 plants. Is really depending on being connected. Let's say for supply chain data, we need to really steer the supply chain more precisely. We need to know what's on the ships, what we need to fly if necessary, and those things to really minimize the overall networking content, really, and the money which is bound into these stocks. Yeah? This needs to be absolutely improved. Yeah? So supply chain is super important to be digitized even further. And ultimately, as I said, these new products we are producing, be it the components or the complete system, we have to very quickly come to a high quality, despite one or the other process not being 100% mature yet. Most of the processes are new. And here, digitalization, especially artificial intelligence in testing, gives us huge opportunities to make use out of the data acquired and make the test, the end of line testing, what I refer to, for these systems, make it more efficient, learn from it, and reduce scrap rework and all these things you don't want to have in a production much quicker. So that's an absolute must. And here we have started a program. We have in the recent years, especially in the big plants like Saarbrücken, Schweinfurt, and others, we have come up with numerous very intelligent solutions, mainly with artificial intelligence usage, but they're only isolated solutions. And the target is now for our production network to come to a more cloud-based solution, being all the plants connected to each other, and feed the data into a huge cloud, and then exchange the data in a good data model in between these plants, and then make use of it in a broader scale with artificial intelligence. And here's the next step of digitalization, that we have completely overarching connected plant network, which is exchanging data, self-sufficient, and also have self-learning processes that you do not have to manually evaluate and improve processes, but that's the next step to really have self-improvement in the different processes.
Another tool where we see particularly able to help employees is artificial ARVR, virtual reality, augmented reality, particularly to support training, new equipment, etc. Is this becoming a more embedded part of your production processes?
Super important. I mentioned earlier that we are ramping up plants in China, and not just because COVID in general. I mean, you have all the specialists in this European lead plants, as we call them. That's where the production processes are developed in these days. Right now, that will be in the future probably different. But right now, the heart of it is in Europe. We have a lead plant for electronics. We have a lead plant for the motors, and we have a lead plant for systems. And obviously, when we ramp up operations in China, best thing is to look at it with the very eyes the operator in China sees it. So HoloLens is really the key to go. We use it quite extensively in training of these operators. That's one thing. Another thing, end of line testing of systems, where really you can look with augmented reality. With an iPad, you hold it in front of the system, and you see if all the plugs are in the right way, special connectors are in place, and all those things. So that boosted us quite substantially in quality at the end of line testing for existing products. So there's different use cases here and there, but that's a field where we, together with the digital twin also, where we invest quite substantially in.
Is the digital twin being used more extensively to speed up the introduction of new products and new processes?
Digital twin is something which we use for 3 areas. Most of all, as I said, we have a couple of plants in planning and in ramp up, and obviously before building it, you make a digital model, and that's the first area where we use digital twins. But moreover, more important, even for running plant, I mean, when you build systems which are so complex, like we do, a complete gearbox, 8HP gearbox, or a complete system, you have assembly lines with roughly 50, 60, 70 assembly stations. Yeah, and you have up to, let's say, 50, 60, 70 people in one shift working around this assembly line. And what's super important here is to have a digital twin to really, and I'm talking about a precise digital twin. It has really to have the right cycle times, online cycle time, and with this you see, because a lot of these processes are semi-automatic, meaning the worker is every once in a while delaying a process because positioning is not correct, or there's other hiccups in the assembly process. And here we find out in a very quick way, right after a couple of months of usage of this production line, where we can improve one or the other station to get a better overall line balancing. Yeah, that's so these two things are the most important use cases for this digital twin, and ultimately, of course, inter-process stocks. When you plan a company and it starts up running, you need to you can look with the digital twin where you put the stocks, how much stock you need for changeover and those things. So also for lowering WIP, work in process inventory, it's a very useful topic.
So, Arno, one of the things we note is that electrification is changing the competitive landscape. There's new players, startups, new emergence in the value chain. And then, of course, the large traditional players such as ZF and many others. How can a large tier one like ZF with legacy operations better compete in manufacturing?
In several ways. Yes, you do see, I mean, everybody wants to enter this field now. So we do see a lot of new players here. That's correct. When we saw in the gearbox business, we were probably one of the market leaders. We had competitors, 3, 4, 5, something like this, serious competitors. And now we are confronted with a lot more competitors. However, we are dealing with a very complicated product, very useful if you are used to system complexity. Yeah, and we as a large system supplier from the heritage, we have a broad knowledge about complex systems, and that helps us very much about systems development, but also after all, when the product comes into the customer's hand, and when it comes to the performance on the road. I think lots of things are underestimated. For example, gearing, which plays a huge role in the EVD, both for efficiency. Super important to have optimal gears here for efficiency, and even we as a gearing manufacturer had to further develop our gearing to really meet the super high standards in an electrified drivetrain, both for NVH, which is noise, and also efficiency. So that helps us a lot. System complex and system complexity and system knowledge helps us a lot. And yeah, then come the new process, electronics manufacturing. I mean, the manufacturing of the inverters itself, okay, the chips and the platines and those things, the boards, that's new, okay. But then you have to reassemble a system again. Even here, system knowledge helps us a lot. Yeah. So I think, and overall, we are one of the few ZF which has this high vertical integration from the power unit and chips boards to the motor and to the gearing and to the complete system. We manufacture it all, and ultimately, what is the most important, and all these components which I just mentioned, all these 3 components or 4. They are paying into the overall efficiency of the system. And you know that the batteries are always too small. Yeah, that's the major problem the electric vehicles are still dealing with it. If an electric vehicle would drive 1,000 kilometers, probably the market would be overflood tomorrow. And if you have knowledge in all these 3 areas, you can take the best of it and come to a quicker, let's say, iteration to ultimate high efficiency. Yeah, that's my view on it, and I think we're on a perfect way.
Look at the ZF production system and the general approach and strategy. Is it leading to kind of some specific changes there, whether that's in inventory, just in time, some of the traditional processes that maybe came with the ICE production? Is there an approach to change and strengthen the ZF production system?
The ZF production system is developed further for really more, let's say, come to a standardized plans. When I'm now with ZF for 3 years, and one of my key steps in the first place was to bring the 26 plants I have in my unit, in my area of responsibility, to come to a standard here. Yeah, standard processes, standard set of KPIs, standard appearance, standard quality ultimately. Yeah? Because if you deal with large customers, BMW and Stellantis and you name it, and they expect the same quality problem if it's the same quality product, obviously, be it manufactured in Germany, in China, or in the US. And here, ZFPS, ZF Production Systems, is the key to standardized processes throughout the world. And we put a lot of initiative in here. We emphasized that quite substantially to speed that up. And now, when you come into a ZF plant in Mexico or in the United States or even in China, they all look alike from the interior. The processes are comparable, and the working methods, the problem-solving tools, it's all standardized to a very high extent, and ultimately the product quality is the same everywhere. So it's yes, ZF production system has come to more importance and to be used more even in this new products and the plant ramp-ups.
The last area that I wanted to cover, and thank you for spending so much time with us to go through this, and our audience was putting through questions. We'll make sure to share those questions with Arno and answer further, kind of even after the event. But I do want to talk about sustainability and how that is changing some approaches to manufacturing, and particularly to the employees. So can you tell us a bit more about how ZF's approach to reducing emissions and environmental impact is impacting your workforce?
Sustainability has picked up quite substantially in the last 2 years, let's put it like this. And I, as a human being, seeing these climate changes, I think that's a very good thing. Yeah, that it becomes more and more important so quickly. I think we really, all of us have to take care of this. And I think it's a very good thing that even our customers, the OEMs, put so much importance into this to become overall the product and the processes more sustainable and more energy saving. We had put out for ZF Group, for ZF Corporate, the overall target to be climate neutral by 2030. And now what we did is to come up with individual roadmaps for every plant. We have the first plant already climate neutral in the beginning of 23. That's our electronics plant in Clusterich in Czech Republic. And we have individual targets for every plant, meanwhile, to come to climate neutrality or decarbonization in the years to come. Yeah, both in our own interest, but also to fulfill our customer needs. Because when you quote a new product today, electric axle or whatever it is, subcomponent, you have to come up with these climate neutrality targets and fulfill that, even to scope 3 upstream. That's our supplier landscape. Yeah? Even here, we already demand from our suppliers the same roadmap. So it's a complete overarching program which takes care of those needs and the targets. So it's quite holistic, and it's transforming at a fast pace, and I personally think it's good.
It's obviously very, very important to give employees at all levels a sense of purpose and mission in this sort of objective. Can you talk a little bit about how you're working at all levels of the employees, whether shop floor to management, to engage them in achieving these targets?
Sustainability has taken place in all our communication portals and our communication methods we use. I mentioned that earlier, that we do town halls, skip level meetings, online trainings, all those things, and sustainability is a huge part of that. So it's in our leading meetings, our board meetings. Sustainability is always a given topic, and it's in the standard agenda. Second of all, we use the production system as a transporter, as a method to bring it more to the public and to the shop floor, to really create people's awareness. And as I mentioned earlier, the production system for us was a huge tool, a very successful tool to raise the 5S standards, to raise the appearance standards, and here we brought the sustainability idea to our workers, and it's working in a good way.
Okay, Arno, we've certainly covered a lot of ground today, and for that, again, we thank you. I want to finish on just a few points. One is looking at new employees. What makes a tier one like ZF, in the midst of this transformation that we spent the last 45 minutes talking about, what makes it a good place for a new employee to join in the production area? And what's your advice for why they should want to look to join at this time?
I think the overall transformation is an exciting journey. I really, from the bottom of my heart, think that. And I think ZF is, as one of the very little number of tier ones, has the highest vertical integration, which means that we produce the whole complexity of the system. Yeah, we were not shy to invest in electronics. We were not shy to invest in motors. And here you can choose in a lot of areas, in a lot of processes where your interest lies, where you want to work. Yeah, be it software, be it electronics, be it mechanics, or whatever. We have it all. And we furthermore, I think we have a very high investment rate compared to our sales, and we're not shy to carry that on. So we take that very seriously. Not everybody does that, and this secures our competitiveness and our success tomorrow. Yeah? And not every company is thinking in such long-term perspectives, I would say. So it's a great place to be.
And it certainly sounds like it. And finally, my last question. Although you are indeed very young, Arno, if you were just starting your career today in automotive manufacturing, what would you think is most exciting now? What is the biggest challenge and opportunity to grasp?
Two things. We talked a lot about electronics. So really, do not do an apprenticeship just in mechanical. Go to electronics, super important, that's the key. Digitalisation, build your knowledge in digitalisation, and most important, and that's where the younger generation lacks a little bit in my point of view. I mean, everybody is on TikTok and on Instagram and all those things internationally, but hardly anybody wants to go to China or to the US for 3 years. Internationality is important. Yeah, be open for a job abroad for maybe it's a month, some weeks, or a couple of years. I did that several times. I was in the US, I was in Brazil, and I was in Romania for expatriate assignments. That helped me to understand globalization, and that's the key to go.
Well, that is exciting, and I would certainly, having had the opportunity in my career as well to travel to different locations and experience them, I couldn't agree more with the thrill of that, and that's part of the joy, I think, of this industry. Even despite some of the challenges we see in different regions, those who embrace those really will get benefits from them. Arno, this has been for me a fascinating journey on a topic that's dear to my heart as well, in terms of developing the people that will really bring us to the next generation and achieve the sort of goals in sustainability and electrification. Thank you so much for taking all this time to talk to us at this event. And I want to again be sure that we connect any questions that have come to our audience to you. We will certainly do that. But really, we thank you so much for your time and participation today.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
Fantastic. We'll see you soon, and we'll be right back with more from AMS Automotive Evolution.